Have you ever prayed for something, worked for it, pushed for it, believed with all your heart that it was meant to happen, only to watch the door slam shut right in front of you? Maybe it was a job you desperately wanted. Maybe it was a relationship you fought to keep alive. Maybe it was an opportunity that seemed perfect for your future. You prayed about it. You asked God for guidance. You even believed that this door was the answer you had been waiting for. But instead of opening, it closed. And not just quietly. Sometimes it feels like God shuts the door so firmly that there is no possible way to reopen it. In those moments, confusion begins to take over. You start asking questions that don't seem to have clear answers. Why would God allow you to want something so deeply, only to take it away? Why would He let you walk so far down a path, just to stop you at the last moment? Why would the opportunity that looked so right suddenly disappear? It can feel frustrating. It can feel unfair. And if we're honest, it can even shake our faith a little. Because when a door closes that we desperately wanted open, it's easy to believe that something has gone wrong. But what if the closed door isn't a mistake? What if the door you were trying so hard to force open was never meant to be yours? And what if God closed it not to punish you, but to protect you? The truth is, there are moments in life when we chase things that look perfect on the outside. But God sees something deeper. He sees the consequences we cannot see. He sees the future we cannot predict. He sees the pain we cannot yet imagine. And sometimes the greatest act of love from God is not opening the door we prayed for. Sometimes the greatest act of love is closing it. Because the door you are mourning today may be the very door that would have led you away from the life God truly planned for you. And once you understand why God closes certain doors, you may begin to see your past disappointments in a completely different way. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is this: not every opportunity that appears in front of you is meant for you. Sometimes a door looks perfect on the outside. It seems to match your plans. It fits your dreams. It even feels like the answer you have been praying for. So naturally, you start moving toward it with excitement and hope. You imagine how your life might change if that door opens. You begin to picture the future that could be waiting on the other side. And the more you think about it, the more convinced you become that this must be the path God has prepared for you. But here is something many people forget. Just because a door exists does not mean it belongs in your journey. There are opportunities in life that look good but are not right for you. There are paths that seem promising but quietly lead away from the purpose God has planned. And there are moments when we become so focused on what we want that we stop asking whether it is truly what God wants for us. This is where many people begin trying to force the door open. They push harder. They pray harder. They try every possible way to make it work. Because in their minds, the only thing standing between them and their future is that closed door. But what if the closed door is actually the answer? What if God sees something on the other side that you cannot see yet? Sometimes we only see the opportunity, but God sees the consequences. We see the excitement, but God sees the hidden struggles. We see the short-term reward, but God sees the long-term direction of your life. And because His vision is greater than ours, He sometimes closes doors that look perfect from our perspective. Not because He wants to frustrate you, not because He wants to delay your life, but because He knows that some paths would take you somewhere you were never meant to go. Think about how many times people look back on their lives and realize something surprising. The opportunity they once cried over losing was actually the very thing that saved them from a future they would have regretted. The job they didn't get, the relationship that ended, the plan that fell apart. At the time, it felt like disappointment. But later, it became protection. Sometimes God closes a door not because it is bad, but because it is not meant for you. And learning to trust that truth can completely change how you see the doors that close in your life. Because a closed door is not always rejection. Sometimes it is redirection. One of the biggest differences between human perspective and God's perspective is vision. We see the present moment. God sees the entire future. When you look at an opportunity, you often see the benefits. You see how it could improve your life. You see the excitement of something new. You see the possibility of success. But what you cannot see are the hidden consequences that might come later. You cannot see the struggles that might follow that decision. You cannot see the people who might hurt you along that path. You cannot see the situations that might slowly pull you away from the person you are meant to become. God sees all of it. Every outcome, every hidden challenge, every turning point. And because He sees what we cannot, sometimes He steps in and closes a door we were convinced should be open. From our perspective, it feels confusing. It feels like a lost opportunity. It feels like something good has been taken away. But from God's perspective, it may actually be protection. Imagine walking toward a path that looks safe and beautiful. You see a clear road. You see opportunity ahead. But just beyond the hill you cannot see, there is danger waiting. A collapse. A trap. A situation that would change your life in ways you never intended. If someone who could see that danger stopped you from going further, it might feel frustrating in the moment. You might feel like they are holding you back. But later you would realize that their warning saved you. God often works in the same way. There are doors we desperately try to open because we believe they will lead to something good. But God sees the full story. He sees what will happen 6 months from now. He sees what will happen 5 years from now. He sees how certain choices could shape the direction of your life. And sometimes the most loving thing He can do is close the door before you walk through it. This doesn't mean that every closed door is easy to accept. Sometimes it hurts deeply. Sometimes it leaves questions that take time to understand. But many people eventually discover something powerful when they look back on their lives. The doors that once felt like the greatest disappointments were often the very doors that protected them from the wrong future. And the doors that opened later were far better than anything they had originally planned. At some point in life, everyone experiences a closed door. A moment where something you wanted deeply simply does not happen. A moment where a plan you believed in suddenly falls apart. And in that moment, it is easy to believe that you have lost something important. You may question the path you were walking. You may question the effort you invested. You may even question why things happened the way they did. But time often reveals something that is difficult to see in the moment. Many of the doors that close in our lives are not the end of our story. They are the beginning of a different direction. Because while you may be focused on the door that just closed, God may already be preparing another door that you cannot yet see. A door that leads to a healthier relationship. A door that leads to a better opportunity. A door that leads to a purpose that fits your life far better than the one you were chasing before. But in order for that new door to appear, sometimes the old one must close first. If every door you wanted stayed open, you might continue walking down paths that were never meant for you. You might stay in situations that slowly lead you away from the future you were meant to build. So God closes certain doors not to punish you, but to guide you. Not to limit your life, but to protect its direction. And often, when people look back years later, they realize something powerful. The doors they once cried over were the very doors they eventually became grateful were closed. Because those closed doors redirected them towards something far better. Something they could not see at the time. So if there is a door in your life that has recently closed, try to remember this. A closed door is not always rejection. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is redirection. And sometimes it is simply the moment before God opens a door that will change everything. Right now, there may be a door in your life that has recently closed. Maybe it was something you worked hard for. Something you prayed about. Something you truly believed was meant for you. And even now, part of you may still wonder what would have happened if that door had opened. That feeling is natural, because when a door closes, the future suddenly becomes unclear. You may not immediately see where the next opportunity will come from. You may not understand why things happen the way they did. But life has a strange way of revealing its meaning over time. There are moments that only make sense when you look back years later. Moments where what once felt like loss becomes part of a larger story. Many people discover that the door they once tried so hard to open was actually leading them away from the life they were meant to live. And the door that eventually opened later was one they never even imagined at the beginning. That is the mystery of faith. You rarely see the full picture while you are walking through it. You only see the next step. But step by step, moment by moment, the path begins to unfold. And one day you may look back and realize something powerful. Every closed door shaped the direction of your life. Every disappointment pushed you toward something different. Every unexpected turn brought you closer to the person you were meant to become. So if a door has closed in your life recently, do not assume your story has ended. Sometimes the door that closes is simply clearing the path for a door you cannot see yet. A door that will lead you somewhere better, somewhere safer, somewhere more aligned with the purpose God has prepared for you. And when that door finally opens, you may realize that every closed door before it was guiding you there all along.